Mike Tyson must have pleasant dreams after leaving so many opponents in the ring. However, those where Riddick Bowe appears can be said to be a real nightmare. Throughout his career, Bowe left great opponents on the canvas with phenomenal performances. Stay to the end of the video to see how he managed to knock down a much lesser champion more than 8 times before taking the title from him. They expected to see 12 rounds of a fight that would pay homage to that first heavyweight championship in 1941, but what the audience got was an example of why you shouldn't mess with a giant like Riddick Bowe. The bell rang announcing round 1, and the bout became a close one-on-one where you could tell that both fighters were studying their opponent, but Bowe would be a little more crafty.
You go inside, then you face the prospect of the uppercut.
Early on, Bowe was seen testing Ferguson's guard, hoping to find a weak spot where he could connect one of his powerful punches and land another one of his crazy knockouts.
Yesterday, when we interviewed him, that he said he's going all out in this fight. He doesn't have any kind of sparring partner mentality. There's that uppercut of Bowe's again, setting up and a good.
With less than 30 seconds left in the round, Ferguson was already on the ropes. Bowe was still being cautious until he found the weak spot and spontaneously threw a combination of punches that left Jesse sprawled out on the canvas.
Now Ferguson backs up against the ropes. Probably not a good place to be. And the left hook lands and Ferguson.
In his first attempt to get up, Ferguson only spun around, but before the referee finished with the safety count, Jesse was on his feet and ready to get back into the fight. However, the round ended. Round 2 began, and not even 15 seconds had passed when Ferguson was already lying on the canvas once again.
2/3 of his blows in round 1. And this is going to go pretty quickly now.
For a moment, it looked like he had decided to take a nap. It was clear that, in the first round, he had been saved by the bell. Riddick had managed to knock him out before the entire audience was even seated. Bruce Seldon was a promising boxer. He had a record of 18-1, where 15 of those wins had been by knockouts. However, Riddick Bowe was undefeated with 25 wins, 22 of them by knockout, and, on this night, he did not intend to change his status. From the start of the first round, Bruce began to put pressure on Riddick. However, his defense was good, and Seldon was unable to land any of the powerful punches he was throwing. It was expected to be a 10-round fight, but when Bowe began to attack more actively, it was clear that Seldon had no choice but to buy some time by trying to go to Riddick's body.
Start for Bruce Seldon and the big complaint against Bruce.
With 2 minutes left to go in that first round, Riddick began throwing his brutal punching combinations. With 1:45 minutes left before the bell that would send them to their respective corners, Seldon had already been sent to test the canvas. For a moment, it looked like he wouldn't get up. Then he did, hopping around, but the referee had to check that he was fit to continue the fight after the brutal beating he had received. However, the commentators had not finished narrating what had happened when Seldon was already, once again, lying on the canvas.
And went on to beat Travolta, but Seldon is...
The referee began the safety count, and, although he tried more than once to get to his feet, he only managed to get to his knees and walk away. It was obvious that Bruce was not fit to continue with the fight, and, at the end of the 10 count, there was only one clear winner, Riddick Bowe, who was not only still undefeated, but had also increased his record of wins by knockouts, without having to go beyond the first round. Bowe was only 27 years old when he faced Jorge Luis Gonzalez, age 30, and, by that time, the stats from his last 3 fights put him above Gonzalez. But there was no percentage that could have predicted what was to come. Jorge Luis stepped into the ring that night undefeated, with 23 wins, and 22 of them had been by knockout. He had been world amateur champion 8 times, so it was expected that he could give the giant Bowe a fight. Riddick, on the other hand, stepped into the ring with a 36-1 record, 30 of those wins being by knockout. He was billed as the former heavyweight champion of the world. So, that night, he had something to prove. After the referee explained the rules and they received the last instructions from their trainers, the bell rang to start the first round. From that moment on, the fight was close. You could see how both fighters studied each other, but also kept an eye out for weaknesses in each other's guard to land the right punch. And, with a combination of punches, the first to break his opponent's guard was Riddick Bowe.
Pre-pro fights, and he'll see something entirely different tonight. Big right hand over the top by Bowe, glancing blow.
He left Gonzalez on the ropes, who had no choice but to throw himself to his body to buy some time, waiting for the referee to separate them. This was just a preview of what the entire first round would be like. It seemed that Gonzalez could not find his way to the center of the ring and only bought time between the ropes until the final bell. By the second round, it became clear that Bowe would dominate the fight. Gonzalez needed a miracle to get out of his corner, and Riddick would take advantage of any drop in his guard to land a powerful punch.
And when you're throwing hard shots, that starts to wear you down a lot more than you need to be worn down.
Jorge Luis spent the third round holding his own, but he had no strength left by the fourth round. Against the ropes, his guard was down, and it was very easy for Riddick to land the punches he was landing. It was only a matter of time before the knockout came. After the bell that would end the fourth round, Riddick landed a punch on Gonzalez that almost knocked him out of the ring. Even the referee had to stop Jorge Luis' team, who were already going at Bowe for the foul he had committed. Stupid move, it was called by the commentators.
This looks like the heavyweight champion of the world, Riddick Bowe now.
And that's coming from the heavyweight champion, folks.
Riddick Bowe looks like the heavyweight champion of the world.
Another landslide scoring round for Bowe. And Gonzalez is taking quite a pounding as he sticks to his strategy of leaning against the ropes. Bowe risking disqualification there, and that was a...
However, they went back to round 5, and Jorge Luis was once again able to show how much he could hold his own in the ring. But, with 1:22 minutes left in the sixth round, the denouement came. Bowe managed to land the perfect hook that would put an end to the great example of resistance that Jorge Luis was giving.
To Eddie Futch. On paper, that looks like a big advantage. There it goes. That should do it.
After that, he could not get up from the canvas. We all remember Tyrell Biggs from his controversial bout with Tyson, but you're about to learn about another embarrassing moment in his career. That night, Riddick's record was set at 21 wins, undefeated, with 19 of them by knockout. Tyrell's, meanwhile, was 19 wins, 3 losses, with only 12 being by knockout. Biggs had something to prove that night, though he only ended up knowing what the canvas tasted like. From the sound of the first bell, Bowe savaged Biggs. Although he had been an Olympic champion, his reputation within professional boxing was not good. He was not exactly an opponent with whom you should show caution.
He definitely wobbled, Dan, and he does not want to get into a trading contest with Riddick.
Biggs could only try to dodge Bowe's powerful fists, and, after a while, resorted to lunging at his body to briefly stop the fight and be separated by the referee. It was a strategy that was only good for him to take a couple of seconds to rethink what to do, because Bowe, once he got back into his rhythm, was unstoppable. Tyrell was one of the opponents who held out the longest against Bowe, going all the way to the 8th round. By that point, his fatigue was evident. He came out of his corner with his guard down, and Riddick, cautiously, managed to find the weak spot.
To get Tyrell Biggs out of there.
With a big right hand, and down goes Tyrell Biggs.
With almost a minute left in the round, Biggs was sprawled out on the canvas. He got up before the referee finished the safety count, the fight resumed, and within 20 seconds he had been knocked down once again.
They can stop this fight right now. You see the official from the commission up on the ring post, up on the over. It's over.
Thus, Bowe's team was already celebrating his victory, while Biggs' team had to assist him to help him up and out of the ring. Herbie Hide was stepping into the ring that night as a world champion. He boasted of his status, but inside, you could tell he was worried about the giant he was about to face. Bowe's record stood at 35-1, with 29 wins by knockout. Hide had nothing to envy him, as he was undefeated, with 26 wins, 25 of these being by knockout. The first round opened, and both fighters took their time to study each other. The seconds passed, and they only seemed to go back and forth. Thus, with almost no punches, it closed. At the start of the second round, Hide was seen to attack more. Bowe was maintaining a good guard and was playing to wear down his opponent. But once he started attacking, there was no turning back for Herbie.
When he decides to make his attack.
The hardest punches came in the third round. Both fighters were looking for the hold in their opponent's guard so they could take the win. And, for a second, it seemed that Herbie Hide would take the fight.
Good shot.
However, his recklessness caused him to stumble and fall sprawled on the canvas.
That's terrific stuff from Herbie Hide, because I thought Bowe had him going a little. And down goes Hide.
He knew he had missed an opportunity, but oddly enough, he went down yet again without taking any significant blows from Bowe.
Obviously got hit with something.
It was one of those phantom punches, and down he goes again. Well, this is mysterious.
There, Riddick knew he had to strike. Hide went down a third time. Bowe was doing his job well. And, before knocking him down a fourth, Herbie was saved by the bell.
One more knockdown means Bowe is the winner. That bell cannot come soon enough. There it is.
With less than 50 seconds left in the fourth round, Hide went down 3 more times to the canvas and was again saved by the bell.
Gets you in another clubbing, right and a left. Hide's hurt by that. Hide's hurt by that. It's the extra power, you see.
Everyone was just waiting for him to be knocked out. But that didn't come until round 6, when Riddick finally threw the combination of punches that was needed to keep Hide from getting up again.
Get out of Herbie Hide.
Yeah, they're good, solid jabs. And every time Bowe gets in close like this, he hurts his man.
Now that you know these great moments within the career of the giant Riddick Bowe, which one was your favorite? We'll read you in the comments.